Rhinos. Rhinos, also known as rhinoceroses, are large herbivorous mammals that belong to the family Rhinocerotidae. They are known for their massive size, thick skin, and distinct horns on their noses. Here are some key facts about rhinos. Rhino species. There are 5 extant, living, species of rhinoceros. A white rhinoceros, Ceratotherium simum. It has 2 subspecies, the southern white rhino and the northern white rhino, functionally extinct in the wild. B. Black rhinoceros, Diceros bicornis. It consists of 4 subspecies. C. Indian rhinoceros, Rhinoceros unicornis, found in parts of India and Nepal. D. Javan rhinoceros, Rhinoceros sondaicus, critically endangered and found in Java, Indonesia. E. Sumatran rhinoceros, Dicerorhinus sumatrensis, critically endangered and found in Sumatra and Borneo. Physical characteristics. Rhinos are massive creatures, with adult individuals weighing between 1,000 and 5,000 kilograms, 2,200 and 11,000 pounds, depending on the species. They have thick, armor-like skin, which can be gray, brown, or black in color. Rhinos have relatively small eyes and poor eyesight but possess a keen sense of smell and hearing. Horns. Rhinos are known for their horns, which are made of keratin, the same material as our hair and nails. Most species have 1 or 2 horns on their snouts, except for the Javan rhinoceros, which typically has 1 horn. Rhinos use their horns for various purposes, such as defending themselves, asserting dominance, and digging for food. Habitat. Rhinos inhabit different habitats depending on the species. They can be found in grasslands, savannas, wetlands, and tropical forests. However, due to habitat loss and poaching, their populations have significantly declined, and they are now restricted to protected areas and national parks. Threats and conservation. Rhinos face numerous threats, including habitat loss, illegal poaching for their horns, and political instability in their range countries. The demand for rhino horns, primarily in some Asian countries, drives poaching. Conservation efforts are underway to protect rhinos and their habitats, including anti-poaching measures, community engagement, captive breeding programs, and international cooperation. Importance to ecosystems. Rhinos play a vital role in their ecosystems. As large herbivores, they shape landscapes through their feeding habits, which helps maintain vegetation diversity. They also create water holes and wallows, benefiting other species. Rhinos are considered a keystone species, and their decline can have far-reaching ecological consequences. Conservation status. Rhinos are critically endangered, with all 5 extant species facing significant population declines. The Javan and Sumatran rhinos are the most critically endangered, with only a few dozen individuals remaining. Efforts are being made by governments, organizations, and local communities to protect and conserve these magnificent creatures. It's important to note that the information provided here is accurate as of my last knowledge update in September 2021. The conservation status and population numbers of rhinos may have changed since then, so it's advisable to refer to more recent sources for the most up-to-date information. Rhinos' body weight. The body weight of rhinoceroses can vary depending on the species. Here are the approximate weight ranges for some of the different rhino species. White rhinoceros. Southern white rhino, adult males can weigh between 1,800 and 2,500 kilograms, 4,000 to 5,500 pounds, while adult females typically weigh between 1,600 and 2,300 kilograms, 3,500 to 5,000 pounds. Northern white rhino, functionally extinct in the wild. Adult males used to weigh around 2,300 to 3,600 kilograms, 5,000 to 8,000 pounds, and adult females weighed about 1,700 to 2,700 kilograms, 3,700 to 6,000 pounds. Black rhinoceros. Adult black rhinos generally weigh between 800 and 1,400 kilograms, 1,800 to 3,100 pounds. Males tend to be larger than females. Indian rhinoceros. Adult Indian rhinos can weigh between 1,600 and 2,700 kilograms, 3,500 to 6,000 pounds. Males are typically larger and heavier than females. Javan rhinoceros. Javan rhinos are the smallest among the living rhino species. Adult males can weigh between 900 and 1,400 kilograms, 2,000 to 3,100 pounds, while adult females weigh around 900 to 1,100 kilograms, 2,000 to 2,400 pounds. Sumatran rhinoceros. Sumatran rhinos are also relatively small. Adult males weigh between 600 and 950 kilograms, 1,300 to 2,100 pounds, and adult females typically weigh between 500 and 700 kilograms, 1,100 to 1,500 pounds. It's important to note that these weight ranges are approximate and can vary based on individual variations within each species. Rhino's horn value in international market. The value of rhino horns on the international market has historically been quite high, primarily driven by demand in certain Asian countries. However, it's essential to note that the international trade in rhino horns is illegal under the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES, with few exceptions. The high value of rhino horns is primarily due to their perceived medicinal and status symbol properties in some traditional Asian medicine practices, despite there being no scientific evidence to support their effectiveness. Rhino horns are falsely believed to possess various health benefits, such as curing diseases, enhancing virility, and detoxifying the body. This demand, combined with the rarity of rhinos and the illegal nature of the trade, has inflated their market value. The illegal trade in rhino horns has resulted in significant poaching and has had a severe impact on rhino populations globally. Conservation efforts have been implemented to combat poaching and reduce the demand for rhino horns. It's important to emphasize that the international trade in rhino horns is highly regulated, and participating in such trade is illegal in most countries. The focus should be on conservation, protection of rhino populations, and addressing the root causes of demand to ensure the survival of these magnificent animals in the wild. Rhino's rhino horns have been used for various purposes throughout history, primarily driven by cultural beliefs and traditional practices in certain parts of the world. However, it's important to note that these uses are based on misconceptions and have no scientific basis. Here are some historical uses associated with rhino horns. Traditional medicine. Rhino horns have been a prominent ingredient in traditional Asian medicine systems, particularly in China, Vietnam, and other countries in the region. They have been used to treat a range of ailments, including fever, headaches, cancer, impotence, and various other health conditions. However, there is no scientific evidence to support the effectiveness of rhino horns in treating any medical condition. Status symbol and luxury goods. Rhino horns have been historically sought after as symbols of wealth, status, and luxury. They have been used to craft intricately carved items, such as dagger handles, cups, and ornaments, which were highly prized and collected by the elite. However, the international trade in such goods made from rhino horns is illegal in most countries. It is essential to emphasize that the uses of rhino horns mentioned above are based on unfounded beliefs and superstitions. Rhino horns are primarily composed of keratin, the same material found in human hair and nails, and have no proven medicinal properties. Additionally, the demand for rhino horns has contributed to the decline of rhino populations worldwide due to poaching and habitat loss. Efforts are underway to combat the illegal trade, raise awareness about the true nature of rhino horns, and promote conservation of rhinos as vital components of ecosystems. Conservation organizations, governments, and local communities are working together to protect rhinos and combat the myths associated with their horns. How we stop rhinos' horn illegal trade. Stopping the illegal trade in rhino horns requires a comprehensive and multifaceted approach involving various stakeholders, international cooperation, and sustained efforts. Here are some key strategies and actions that can help in combating the illegal trade. Strengthen legislation and enforcement. Governments should enact and enforce strict laws and regulations to prohibit the trade in rhino horns and impose severe penalties on poachers, traffickers, and consumers. This includes enhancing border control measures, increasing surveillance and intelligence gathering, and providing adequate resources and training to law enforcement agencies. International collaboration. International cooperation among countries affected by the illegal trade in rhino horns is crucial. Sharing intelligence, coordinating efforts, and establishing cooperative agreements and task forces can help in identifying and dismantling transnational criminal networks involved in the trade. Public awareness and education. Raising awareness among the general public, particularly in the consumer countries, about the ecological importance of rhinos and the devastating impacts of the illegal trade is crucial. Educational campaigns can help debunk the myths associated with rhino horns and promote the conservation of these species. Community engagement and alternative livelihoods. Engaging local communities living near rhino habitats is vital for conservation efforts. Providing alternative livelihood options, such as sustainable agriculture, ecotourism, and community-based conservation initiatives, can reduce dependence on illegal activities like poaching and promote a sense of stewardship towards rhinos and their habitats. Demand reduction. Efforts should be made to reduce the demand for rhino horns through targeted campaigns that emphasize the lack of medicinal properties and raise awareness about the devastating impact on rhino populations. This includes engaging with traditional medicine practitioners, influencing consumer behavior, and promoting legal and sustainable alternatives. Technology and innovation. Utilizing advanced technologies like drones, camera traps, and DNA forensics can aid in monitoring and protecting rhinos. Developing innovative techniques for horn identification, tracking, and monitoring can help in prosecuting traffickers and tracing the origins of illegal horns. Collaboration with NGOs and conservation organizations. Collaborating with non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and conservation organizations that specialize in rhino conservation can provide valuable expertise, resources, and support for anti-poaching efforts, community engagement, and demand reduction campaigns. Economic incentives. Creating economic incentives for local communities and governments to protect rhinos and their habitats can help in garnering support for conservation efforts. This can include revenue-sharing mechanisms, ecotourism initiatives, and sustainable development projects. Combating the illegal trade in rhino horns requires a long-term commitment and a multi-pronged approach. It involves addressing both the supply and demand sides of the trade, engaging with communities, strengthening law enforcement, and promoting international cooperation. By implementing these strategies collectively, we can work towards ending the illegal trade and ensuring the survival of rhinos in the wild. Rhinos' native country. Rhinos are native to several countries in Africa and Asia. Here are the native countries of the different rhino species. White rhinoceros. Southern white rhino, native to South Africa, Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, and Zimbabwe. Northern white rhino, historically native to parts of Central and East Africa, including Sudan, Uganda, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and the Central African Republic. However, it is functionally extinct in the wild, with only a few individuals remaining in captivity. Black rhinoceros. Native to several countries in Africa, including Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and others. They historically inhabited a wide range of habitats across the continent. Indian rhinoceros. Native to India and Nepal. In India, they are primarily found in the northeastern states of Assam, West Bengal, and Uttar Pradesh. Javan rhinoceros. Native to Java Island in Indonesia. They were also historically found in other parts of Southeast Asia, such as Vietnam and Thailand, but are now critically endangered and restricted to Ujung Kulon National Park in Java. Sumatran rhinoceros. Native to Sumatra Island in Indonesia. They were also historically found in other parts of Southeast Asia, including Malaysia, Thailand, and Borneo. However, they are now critically endangered and restricted to small populations in Sumatra and Borneo. Each rhino species has its specific distribution range within these countries, and conservation efforts are ongoing to protect and preserve their populations in the wild. Rhinos age. Rhinos, like other mammals, have varying lifespans depending on factors such as species, environmental conditions, and individual health. Here are the average lifespan ranges for some rhino species. White rhinoceros. Southern white rhino. In the wild, they have an average lifespan of 40 to 50 years, although some individuals have been known to live into their 60s. Northern white rhino. Their average lifespan is similar to the southern white rhino, but due to their critically endangered status, they are primarily found in captivity, where they may live into their 40s or 50s. Black rhinoceros. In the wild, black rhinos typically live for 30 to 40 years, although some individuals have been documented to reach their 50s. Indian rhinoceros. Indian rhinos have an average lifespan of 35 to 45 years in the wild, although some individuals have been known to live longer. Javan rhinoceros. Javan rhinos have a relatively long lifespan compared to other rhino species. They can live up to 40 to 45 years in the wild. Sumatran rhinoceros. Sumatran rhinos have a similar lifespan to Javan rhinos, with an average lifespan of around 40 to 45 years in the wild. It's important to note that these lifespan ranges are approximate and can vary based on factors such as availability of food, habitat quality, disease prevalence, and human impacts. In captivity, where rhinos may receive specialized care, their lifespans can sometimes be extended beyond what is typical in the wild. Rhinos' lifestyle. The lifestyle of rhinos can vary based on the species and their habitats. Here are some general aspects of rhino lifestyles. Solitary animals. Rhinos are primarily solitary animals, with the exception of mothers with their calves. They tend to establish and defend territories, which they mark using various scent and visual signals. Herbivorous diet. Rhinos are herbivores and have a diet primarily consisting of grasses, leaves, shoots, fruits, and bark. The exact diet can vary depending on the species and the availability of food in their habitats. Nocturnal and crepuscular activity. Rhinos are generally more active during the cooler hours of the day, such as late evenings and early mornings. They often rest and seek shade during the hottest parts of the day. Wallowing and mud bathing. Rhinos have a unique behavior of wallowing in water or mud, which serves multiple purposes. It helps them cool down, protect their skin from insects and parasites, and leave scent markings for communication. Strong sense of smell and hearing. Rhinos have a well-developed sense of smell and hearing, compensating for their relatively poor eyesight. They rely on these senses to detect potential threats and communicate with other rhinos. Territorial behavior. Male rhinos, in particular, are known for their territorial behavior. They mark their territories using scent markings, visual signs such as scrape marks, and vocalizations to communicate their presence and dominance. Mating and reproduction. Rhinos have specific mating seasons, and during this time, males may compete for access to females. After a gestation period of around 15 to 18 months, female rhinos give birth to a single calf, which they care for and protect until it becomes independent. Importance of water sources. Rhinos are dependent on water sources for drinking and wallowing. They are often found near rivers, lakes, or other water bodies. It's important to note that these characteristics may vary among different rhino species, and individual behavior can also differ. Each species has its own ecological niche and adaptations based on their respective habitats and evolutionary history. In which countries' law protect rhinos? Illegal horn smuggling. The illegal smuggling of rhino horns is prohibited in most countries due to international regulations and national legislation aimed at protecting rhinos and combating wildlife trafficking. Here are some countries known for having strong laws and regulations to combat rhino horn smuggling. South Africa. South Africa is home to the majority of the world's rhino population and has been heavily impacted by rhino poaching. The country has implemented strict legislation and enforcement measures to combat the illegal trade, including hefty penalties for poaching and trafficking. Kenya. Kenya has been at the forefront of rhino conservation efforts and has enacted stringent laws to protect rhinos and combat the illegal trade in rhino horns. The country has established specialized anti-poaching units and wildlife crime investigation teams to enforce these laws. Namibia. Namibia is known for its successful community-based conservation programs and has implemented strong measures to protect rhinos. The country has laws and regulations in place to combat poaching and wildlife trafficking, including strict penalties for offenders. India. India is home to the Indian rhinoceros and has taken significant steps to protect this species. The country has implemented laws to safeguard rhinos, including provisions for severe penalties for poaching and trafficking of rhino horns. Nepal. Nepal has made significant progress in rhino conservation and anti-poaching efforts. The country has enacted legislation to protect rhinos and combat the illegal trade in rhino horns, including stringent penalties for offenders. United States. The United States has implemented strong regulations and laws to combat wildlife trafficking, including the illegal trade in rhino horns. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has strict regulations on the import, export, and trade of rhino horns, and violations can result in severe penalties. China and Vietnam. While China and Vietnam have been known as consumer countries for rhino horns, they have also taken steps to strengthen their legislation and enforcement against illegal trade. Both countries have banned domestic trade in rhino horns and have increased efforts to crack down on smuggling and illegal markets. It's important to note that the fight against rhino horn smuggling is a global effort, and international cooperation is crucial. Efforts such as the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES, and various partnerships between countries aim to combat wildlife trafficking, including the illegal trade in rhino horns.